It's that spooky time of year where all we want is a crisp, cool, dark evening, some hot apple cider, and a good story that will send a chill to your very soul. My name is Mary Galimi, your host for This Is You, and for Halloween this year, my colleagues and I here at the Denis Wick Chicago Musicians Advisory Studio are sharing some of our scariest stories from our performance careers. This week, you'll be hearing from Michael Tran, our resident clarinet expert here at the Chicago Musicians Advisory Studio.
So, my scary story is actually kind of a pretty common scary story. So, I was doing a sound check before a show, and to get to the stage, you had to go. The green room was under the stage, so you had to go upstairs and go onto the stage. And so I was just going upstairs, as I normally do. I trip on the stairs, and my mouthpiece, I didn't have my mouthpiece cap on, hits a wall and totally destroys the tip as I'm doing the sound check 1 hour before the show. And when you fall, especially as a musician, your first instinct isn't to be like, oh my gosh, am I okay? You always check your instrument. And my instrument was fine, but the mouthpiece, literally the tip, just went flat against the wall, and you could see the tip was just shattered and pushed back. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is like the scenario that everyone talks about. Like, I broke a mouthpiece before a gig, and what do I do? But, that was the first time I ever had to use my backup mouthpiece, because I always keep a spare mouthpiece in my backpack. And so, I just got my backup B40 lyre that I have, and I just went and played the sound check, and I picked a different reed because my reed was also destroyed, and played the concert that night, and it was totally fine. So, scary, but not scary if you have a backup mouthpiece.
Well, and I'll put in also, since we are, recording from the Chicago Musicians Advisory Studio, and we have all the Van Doren and Denis Wick product here, but this is one of the assets to playing on a mouthpiece that's mass-produced in a very consistent way, because, it would have been an even scarier story if, it had been a custom mouthpiece that cost you $1,000, or, a vintage one that the person who made it is dead,
Yeah, that's really the beauty of it, is that I can go to the studio, and once a year or every other year, I find maybe it's time to look for mouthpieces, and I just try a few, and I find one that's pretty similar or has something different that I like than my current one, and my old one becomes my backup, and then I have a new mouthpiece, so I'm never scared. And I'm only out $100 or so if I break it. So instead of $300, $500, $1,000 if you're into the vintage crazy stuff. So it's nothing you'll cry over.
We hope you enjoyed this story from the Chicago Musicians Advisory Studio. We are preparing for Thanksgiving with stories of thanks. These will be stories about the mentors, places, and experiences from our lives that have meant the most to us as musicians. If you have a good story or would like to know more about the Musicians Advisory Studio, contact me, Mary Galimi, at deniswickapp@gmail.com. Have a great day.